LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. This is No Transfer Knowledge, the transfer show from the LFC Daytrippers. I'm joined tonight, I'm Gav, obviously. I'm joined by Seany, and I'm joined by Keith, and we're going to go through a couple of names linked with Liverpool. And we're going to go through a couple of names around the Premier League that have been bandied about to different clubs as well. And over the next hour or so, we'll get through it all. I promise we'll get through it all. Keith, transfer season is well and truly underway. There's just names everywhere, all over the camp.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
It's not that I hate it. I just hate the way... I'm not being one of these, old man shouts at a cloud or anything, but I prefer transfers when a few years ago, when you didn't see every shite getting reported everywhere and meltdowns all over the place. It sort of changed. Social media's changed how I nearly look upon transfer season, in the sense that I tend to dread it now. Do you know what I mean? Because I have my ideas of what I think Liverpool need and the type of players that Liverpool should sign, but I'm only an idiot that's giving his opinion. Do you know what I mean? Other people come out with outrageous shit and ridiculous stuff, but I'm liking what we're linked with at the moment, I have to say, and it does have me with a little semi to think about getting some of these boys over the line. So yeah, I'm liking it. If Liverpool get their business done early, I can sign off Twitter for the rest of the show for the summer and be a happy man.
Keith's happy with what we're being linked with, Seany. We'll definitely get into those names in a bit. But is getting it done early important? Because there's a lot of names floating around, like not only for Liverpool but everyone else, and that's just the season we're in. But these things can drag on for months, Like, is getting it done nice and early and just knowing what we have important here?
Massively, because it lends into everything. If you're getting deals done early, it's a sign that things are being done correctly. There's a plan in place, the structure, and it's like, if we can be accused of not doing enough transfer business, but I don't think you could ever accuse us of not getting a transfer business done when need be. And in terms of like knowing what you have going into pre-season, it's very important. And then I think the longer you leave it as well, the more difficult it becomes to do deals. So yeah, it's starting to really heat up now. Like, there's still games of football to be played, but it's kind of like the FA Cup is like a sideshow to all the stuff that's going around now in the news in terms of transfer. I'm like Keith in a way where I fucking hate it, but there's days where I love it. I love all the content around it. I love when you're looking into these players that you don't get to watch all the time, and people do really in-depth analysis on them, and you can get a feel of that. But like, I don't really subscribe to the Twitter thing because it's all too official. Like, it's the same people doing the same things every other day. Like, well, I only put up a tweet yesterday about it. Yeah, man, Fabrizio Romano is a multi-millionaire now off the back of this. He's found a niche in the market, and it's mental because like people see him as the fucking deity when he's literally just retweeting. You have to give it to him. Like, it's an unbelievable gig he's had to get himself. To be honest,
top-notch aggregator, isn't he?
No, but it is. It really, like, he's the name now. Like, people now, I think he talks a lot of bollocks, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think, personally, there's very few. You can count on one hand how many of them are reputable. But it's this window's a bit different for Liverpool because, like, and I don't know what the story is. I don't know what's happening, but it's very noisy around Liverpool, which is never normally the case. Yeah, you'd know, but it's sort of done and wrapped up in days when the deals we're going to get on and talk about it. Like, they've kind of, not that they've dragged on, but just been noise about them for the best part of a month now. So, yeah, I kind of, if you can detach yourself from the shite and not get sucked into absolutely everything you read on social media, it can actually be quite enjoyable.
It's funny you say it's quite noisy around Liverpool. Something you said to me the other day, the actual quiet amongst certain journalists with regards to Liverpool is probably the most encouraging bit.
Yeah.
Because there's no one writing any of this off, and usually it's like, no, not happening.
But
you know what I mean? And like you say,
give it 21 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, 10:30. But the thing is, like, I would consider I probably have two people that I would listen to with regards to Liverpool transfers, both journalists, reputable. Everything else, I've kind of gone down what you said. I'm just attaching myself from everything else. You know, I'm really laughing at it, and I probably check two accounts on a daily basis to see if anything's being said. If nothing's being said, it's none of my business really. But let's start with the one that, you know, like Brian O'Halloran says, he doesn't mind all the links. As long as we know exactly what we're doing and we get the signings done in June so they're ready to be integrated on July the 1st for pre-season, he's happy. I'm absolutely with you, Brian. But let's start with the one that's been the noisiest, maybe. Being not protracted, but it's been there for weeks now. And it's Alexis Mac Allister off Brighton. And this will probably be the marquee signing of the summer, if you're to believe what we're going to talk about in 10, 15, 20 minutes. We were doing a quiz last night, and Alexis Mac Allister, like, just some of his stats come up, and it was like, that's actually really fucking good. But Keith, I'll start with you. Alexis Mac Allister looks like it's close to being done. There was talk of 80 million quid. The talk now is somewhere around 55 plus add-ons. It'll probably come in around 70 million euros. And probably will be the marquee signing of the summer for Liverpool. And some people will like that, and some people won't. But like, the more and more I've seen the player play, obviously, Keith. But the more and more I look into him, the more and more impressive he's getting every time I see it. I know his mates, I say, that was fucking exceptional as well, but you can't have everything. But the more I look at him, Keith, the more I'm just impressed that every time I kind of go down a little rabbit hole about him. And I'm sure you are as well, because once he comes from South America, you're all in, regardless if he only has one leg.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 100%. No, look, I'm a big fan of Mac Allister. I think he'd be good for us, because I always look when Liverpool are linked with a player or sign a player. You can look at what they do with their current team, and you cannot say that's exactly what he's going to do for Liverpool. So people look at Alexis Mac Allister and they're like, geez, he's not very quick. You know, he's not physical. He's not this. He's very good with the ball. But, you know, and if we look at Cody Gakpo coming in, Cody Gakpo looks after the ball. If we can get a player into that midfield that looks after the ball as well and takes you over, I think Mac Allister's to all that. I think he's going to be absolutely exceptional. And he shoots from outside the box. Again, when they signed Gakpo, they flagged that as a trait of his that he want to get more into the team. Mac Allister does it as well. Excellent on set pieces. He won't get near them for us, but he's excellent at them. I just think it's a brilliant bit of business, and I'm in the camp that if he's our marquee signing, I'm happy. If the other signings are who we're going to talk about for the prices we'll be talking about, and I think Liverpool will have to go back to being smart instead of just rushing out and buying the most expensive. I love Caicedo. I've loved Caicedo for a long, long time. When the money is going up and up and up, yeah, the risk becomes higher. And it's similar with Jude Bellingham. I'm not saying I don't want Jude Bellingham, but if you pay 100 and something million for a player and he gets injured, you're fucked. And you're now seeing reports of Jude Bellingham needing possible knee surgery and things like that. If Liverpool had gone out and spent that on him, now if they could do a curveball and announce Jude Bellingham will be like a pig in shite as well, I'll be happy with that. But I just think we need to be smart with our signings, and we need to be trying to do the best business. Not being cheap, because people will jump on and say, oh, you're being cheap. Yeah, you have no ambition. Why would you want to buy players for 30 million when you can buy a player for 70 or 80 million? Because Liverpool and Klopp built their success on buying hungry players that were ready to take that step. We have to get back to that, in my opinion. We have to get back to that. Darwin Núñez, whether you like him or you don't like him, has had to shoulder the responsibility of his price tag, even though it wasn't his price. You know, people are talking about 100 million. The fella cost 60 million. Do you know what I mean? So when you're signing these players, the scrutiny on them is just so high. I think Alexis Mac Allister can come into Liverpool. He's Premier League proven, but he's also, you know, he's won a World Cup and he played a very key role in that team. It wasn't like he was just a jobber in the squad that, you know, got his medal but didn't participate. He was a key player in that team. So he knows how to play with elite players. He knows how to play in teams that have high expectations. And I just think he could be very similar to a Gini Wijnaldum for us. He plays as a 10 traditionally, but he can drop in as an 8 and he can do a 6. I think he could be an absolute key signing for us if we get him. For people asking what top this is a River Plate 1985 jersey. Someone asked in the chat.
Someone did. I was going to ask you. Dan Austin asked.
Yeah, River Plate 85. Enzo Franceschi.
There you go. The thing with Mac Allister is, and I'll get on to Seany now, like, you knew he played for Brighton, you knew he was quite good, but the World Cup thing really opened my eyes to him, because I don't think he starts the first game of the World Cup against the Saudis, I think it was. He plays every game from there, I think, and the work rate out of him, with him and Rodrigo de Paul, was just unreal. Like, he kept the ball brilliantly, moved it around, chased, harried, tackled, went forward where it was creative. That's when I really piqued interest in him. I went, wow. And that's why I think the Wijnaldum situation, or the Wijnaldum comparison, is interesting, because he actually does keep the ball really well. He gets you up the pitch, but I think he's a bit more with Wijnaldum in creative wise, and maybe a bit more of a goal threat. I think he'd be an excellent signing for Liverpool. I really would. The price, someone said there, why are we not using the pound sign for, I think, £55 million with add-ons, but they're quoting €70 million as the price for whatever it's being reported. And I think most of
they're saying it's much less than that now.
Well, they're saying €70 million, which is about £60 million.
But they're saying even much less than that.
Put it that way. Put it this way: if it's 55 million with add-ons and he ends up costing 70 million, it means you're winning trophies.
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, of course it does.
When you're winning trophies and players perform, the transfer fees are completely null and void. They're superficial. We've already said this. Like, it's already skewed, because you look at the 100 million United spent on Anthony and 100 million Chelsea spent on Mudryk. Like, if you spend 100 million on a player 4 or 5 years ago, you were getting Mbappe. You were getting creme de la creme. Now you're spending this sort of money and you're getting players who might explode. The market's gone fucking mad. Enzo Fernandez as well has a really good World Cup. He's only at Benfica 6 months, I think, before he goes to Chelsea for 100 million. The thing is with Mac Allister, everyone bangs on about fees. How much is he worth to Brighton? And he's worth exactly that amount. So that's why we have to pay that. He's exactly what we need. Like Keith said, he's versatile at 10-8-6. He can do it all, in my opinion. He's the type of player away from home in Europe, although we might not need him next year because we won't be playing the high caliber opposition. But if you're playing a Real Madrid away and you need someone who can walk his bollocks off and look after the ball, it's exactly the type of player you need. He's a technician. I've seen people liking him to Gini. Yeah, I think he's more to his game than Gini. He's a set piece taker. He'd probably come and he'd be taking free kicks. I think
it's the work rate and being able to hold on to the ball and move with the ball is the comparison there.
Everything, like, we seen him play at Anfield. He was brilliant that day. He's a really, really good player, and he's exactly what Liverpool need. So I don't think fees and anything like should come into it, because leave that for opposition teams to do and give out about.
Seany, I'll answer this because I want to throw it in there because you're going down the road I was going to ask. Is there any negative to this? Because you will see people going, it's too much money. Does he do this? Does he do that? Like, at the end of the day, Seany, if he was coming from Barcelona as a World Cup winner with Argentina, playing in that position at that amount, people would be like, fuck me, that's a signing. Exactly. There's no negative to it, is there?
No, there's absolutely no negative to it. What I'd say now when we're looking at signing the player, now we're going to talk about Kone and Thuram, where the situation's probably different. But for me, you look at Mac Allister, he starts for City next year if they buy him.
Yeah.
If City have money for him, he probably plays 35 league games for them. What does that tell you? He's good enough for fucking us, definitely. And they're the type of players we should be targeting. Now, people thought not being in the Champions League might cost us, but it looks like we're profiling the right players. Mac Allister for me is the perfect type of signing, and I never really got. We're going to talk about. I never really got the link to Mount and Mac Allister because I think they're fairly similar, and I think we need different types. Like you said, Gav, you don't want the fucking fella that coming in that going, oh, he can do that if he has to. You want specialist type of players. Mac Allister can go both ways. We've seen in the World Cup, he walked his bollocks off. Him, Enzo Fernandez, and Rodrigo de Paul were like three henchmen for Messi.
Yeah.
They literally fucking done all the legwork for him. And in the final, he's probably the best player on the pitch whose name's not Mbappe or Messi. He was fucking phenomenal. So he can show he can do it in big games. He was key to them as well throughout the knockouts. Like, this is an absolute no-brainer. Like you were saying, Gab, people will talk. Like, people will scrutinise the fee. But let's have a fucking right. Every single one of them would take Mac Allister in the team. I mean it. He gets in 1 to 20. He gets into the Premier League sides. And that's just how good he is. So for me, he's key. And I just want to remark on something you said earlier. The marquee signing, that's a lot of bollocks. It's a bollocks buzzword.
No, what I mean by is it's going to be the biggest profile
players
signing.
Who cost more. Yeah,
no, I think if you ended up with the three that you're talking about, Mac Allister will be the biggest profile of those three. So okay, I'll take back the marquee word, but I will say it's the biggest profile.
I just think people get hung up on the word that if this is our marquee signing, that's a load of bollocks. It's not. Yeah. It's about making. What we need to do now is we need to get back to what we did really good when this fucking this generation of Liverpool started. We were buying the right players, and it was like a synergy. They all work together. I watched the highlights of the final from 4 years ago, and we're just a well-oiled machine. And that's what we need to get back to doing. And that's why I was a little bit kind of going, I'm a bit wary now of the players we're profiling because they're a bit samey. I don't know whether they complement each other. And last year I was the same going, well, what's the story with Darwin Núñez? Is he the type, we're mixing her up and he's going to be running off the shoulder and be putting more balls in the box. Yeah, all right, so what's the story with Fabio Carvalho? We don't kind of play with that type of player in a team. And look, as it stands now, it looks like he's surplus the requirements. I think our recruitment was poxy last year, to be honest with you, including Darwin Núñez. Because, and not to say that he won't come good. I just think if you look back in hindsight, I think last year's window probably cost us when we didn't do enough. But then you look at the signing of Gakpo and you're thinking, right, that makes fucking perfect sense. So it's all about signing players to complement the players that we have there already, whilst making your 11 better. And with the names are all linked to, I'm genuinely excited. With a fucking pinch of hesitation because you just know how Liverpool operate. Is it both Thuram and Kone? Is it one or the other? We don't really know yet, but it looks like they're in negotiations for both. But I like what I'm seeing and I'm liking what I'm hearing and the type of players that we're profiling. I feel like we have our ducks in a row. And the best thing about it is it seems like we're fucking linked with loads of players. So we're just spinning plates. And if one falls, I'm moving on to the next one. And that's key. That's what Liverpool need to get back to doing. Is literally recruiting well and being quick to the draw. And buying these players right before they explode. Okay, we might have missed a trick with Mac Allister. You probably could have got him last year. All right, fair enough. We had this conversation about Bruno Guimaraes, but if you're fucking Yamaha had wheels, should be a bike. It's just one of them things. The fact is, we're getting him now. Yeah. We're getting him now, and he suits us perfectly for what we want to do. The work rate, and again, people hate this, but the personality as well. It seems like a big thing.
Huge.
And he fits us like a glove, absolutely.
Lallana raved about him, didn't he? About his the type of player he is, and the type of person he is.
Yeah, it's.
You get people turning around going, "Oh, Lallana, Klopp's teacher's pet." Like Lallana, I think Lallana could be a type of player who goes on to be a really good coach, a really good a good reader of the game, a good mind, a good football mind.
Yeah, but when Lallana,
I've no doubt in my mind, Klopp is hitting him up to go, "Come here, what's the story on him? Give us a read on him." There's no doubt about it.
But the thing is, like, people, well, look, whether you like the Lallana or not, right? It's not about, oh, Lallana didn't fulfill his potential at Liverpool, why would you listen to him? The fact is, Adam Lallana or anybody else any player that leaves Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, and goes somewhere else and then speaks up about, I think this player could really do well there. The reason they say that is because they know how big these clubs are. They know what the standards are of these clubs, and the standards are that high, and they stay that high for eternity. There's no drop off, and that's why the likes of a Lallana talking like that will give you confidence, because Lallana's probably, he's not only talking about he's a really good player, it's the personality can go in there, handle the situation. Like, there's been players for years and years and years, you thought they're brilliant, aren't they? And they turn up at Liverpool or United, Arsenal, wherever, and it's just too big for them. It's too big for them. That's it, and it doesn't happen, the sort of way. But Alexis Mac Allister, I'd seen somewhere today on social media, he's getting his hair cut today, so that means he's obviously signed for Liverpool because he needs to get his pictures taken in his new jersey.
Yeah, 100%.
Before we go on to others linked with Liverpool, I just want to throw a couple of names out there that you can just fly through them quickly. But Declan Rice, I'll come back to him. Mason Mount, linked with Liverpool, on and off for the last couple of weeks. There was talk that Liverpool were really looking at him. We had a discussion about it a couple of weeks ago, saying maybe 40 million is probably our marker where you go. That's enough. Apparently has agreed terms with Manchester United, which is nothing out of the ordinary. Players do this all the time. But Manchester United are apparently miles away from the valuation that Chelsea have, which apparently is 80 million, and United are sitting at something at 55. Now, if United are sitting at 55, I think that's madness anyway. But Keith, how much do you pay for him if you're Manchester United? Is it still 40 in your opinion? And is he a good signing for them if he goes there?
I don't want it to sound like, never fancied her anyway type of thing, right? Because I like Mason Mount.
I think he'd be a great signing.
I like Mason Mount. I don't think he'd be a great signing for them. I think he'd be a great signing for us. And the reason being, maybe they're going to change how they play, but where is he going to play for them? Do you know what I mean? Like, is he going in there to, let's say, take Eriksen's role? Okay. If I was a Manchester United fan and he was the big midfield signing, I'd be a bit like, what's going on here? I wanted him at Liverpool, and I'm not changing my opinion on that. I think he's an excellent presser. I think he's an excellent worker. And the thing that always sticks out to me, I remember hearing and watching since then, is that he takes instruction and he does it to the letter of the law. And them players are blatant. Adam Lallana, we just spoke about him. Do you know what I mean? Like, those players are worth their weight in gold. So I don't want to make out like, I didn't want him anyway. I'd have loved him at Liverpool because I think he is excellent, and I think he's the type of player that can play in a few positions and will go out and do his job. I think he'd be better for us. I could see him playing on the left side of a midfield three where Curtis Jones is playing. That's where I could see Mason Mount for Liverpool playing in that role. Now, at the moment, Manchester United play Casemiro and another in the back. Usually it was Casemiro and Eriksen, wasn't it? And then Bruno Fernandes was sort of given a free role in front of them. He's not going to replace Bruno Fernandes, and he's not going to replace Casemiro. So I can only see him playing maybe the Eriksen role. So are they going to change and go to a 3? Because I don't think he can play, obviously.
I think he play right hand side of in a 4-2-3-1. I think they'd actually put him right side of a 3, 3 attackers.
That's Anthony's role.
I play him before Anthony. Every fucking day of the week.
Anthony is his boy,
I understand that, but sometimes you have to look and go, your boy just isn't fucking good enough.
No, but Gav, he would have been Ten Hag signing, and they paid 90 million for him.
I understand that.
And they already right.
You heard the story about Marcus Rojo basically fucking Ole turned around and told him, look, I know you're better than him, but I have to pay him. He costs us 75 million, 80 million. That's the way you go. I think I think Mount is just a perfect substitute for Eriksen to go in there. I think he's a great signing for United. I'm not gonna fucking dance around it, but the thing is the cost, because the rumour is he wanted 250k a week off Chelsea.
Yeah.
He wanted a big bumper deal because he's on buttons compared to a few others in the squad there. So you shouldn't be paying any more than 40 million for him. With a fella who's not in red hot form, he's coming off a very indifferent season.
I think Chelsea dropped him because of what was going on as well.
Yeah, I know it's a blatant bit of a basket case at the moment, Chelsea. So it's hard to kind of judge any players coming out there. But if you're paying any more than 45 million for Mount, you're getting done, because I think there's far better value in the market for way less. And I'm not talking about just a transfer fee, because he's going to be getting mega wages. But United have always done that. United have always overpaid on wages, and they're still paying for it. They're fucking giving De Gea cut price money at United, and he's still getting 250 grand a week. It's talk today that they're going to have to pay 10 million to Harry Maguire, so he can accept the move somewhere. So they've snookered themselves in that regard. I'm with Keith. Nobody knows how much United have to spend. There's people saying that they're smashed. There's people saying they're below the cash. If I'm United, I'm not fucking banking a big chunk of my wedge on Mason Mount. And for me, signing Mount and Mac Allister makes no sense to me, because I'm literally like two very similar players in a way.
I'm amazed Arsenal haven't had a look at him. If the price was right.
Arsenal don't need him.
Yeah, but I think Arsenal do need another midfielder.
The best version of Mason Mount you can get.
Yeah, I just think.
Yeah, but they'd be better off signing someone like. They'd be better off signing someone like Caicedo or Royce.
Yeah, maybe so. If they want to go that big, I suppose. Yeah. But
and you've Reece Nelson, you've Smith Rowe, who hasn't been getting games, who's a very good player, who can do that as well. So to be honest with you, I'm surprised City aren't looking at Mount, because I think you'd be a fucking perfect alternative to Gundogan, but they're going now and boxing clever and getting Kovacic. So I think United might be hitting caught. That would be a little bit.
Emmett says
I'd be letting that run for a while.
Emmett says rumour is United have 250 million plus player sales to spend.
I don't know.
I don't know either, because
a washer in January, so I don't know.
They hadn't got a washer in January, and this takeover hasn't happened. Now, unless it's one of those, like we said it before, Liverpool won't fucking tell you they have investment until the window closes, and then they'll say, well, by the way, we got that investment. United could be doing exactly the same thing, but then again, they are on the stock exchange, so if they are doing anything, they probably have to announce it. But look, Declan Rice is a bit of a mad one, because Declan Rice was apparently talking to Bayern Munich, but had given Arsenal his word. United are apparently in there as well for him, so that's all up in the air. But the last one I want to touch on before we go on to Liverpool, back onto Liverpool, is and Seany, I'll start with you this time. Saliba at Arsenal. We're all talking about this, so I'll let Keith have a go with this as well. But Seany, Saliba at Arsenal has a year left on his deal. Best centre half in the league last year. I think his injury really hampered Arsenal, and I think, if they'd have lost another player like an Odegaard, I think it would have really hampered them. But it showed what they were working with last season. They've given Saka a deal that's worth up to 280 grand a week, but it looks, I think it's whatever it's at, plus bonuses and stuff like that. Saliba, apparently they're miles away in the valuation of his contract. What do you make of this one? Have Arsenal kind of snookered themselves here?
Big time. Big time. I think Arsenal, coming off the back of the season that they had, needed to be very, very clever in terms of how they went forward, because it's a young squad, and we seen it with Liverpool. There was a bit of uproar about how long it took to get Mao's contract, but you need to think about, in hindsight, how well we done to sign everyone up before giving him the biggest contract. So I think, and that won't sit well with a lot of people, because people fucking up in arms about FSG when we're announcing contracts, but it's nearly it's as important, if not more important, than the business you do in a window. So I think they've absolutely snookered themselves now. giving Saka that sort of money. Because don't get me wrong, Saka is a fucking brilliant player, but for 150 grand a week, I could find you a load of players who'll do his numbers next year in the Premier League. I guarantee you that. That's a fact. But you won't find many centre halves that will have the impact on the side the way Saliba does. He was Player of the Year in France last year before for Marseille. He was the best player in the league. In a league that had Neymar and fucking Mbappe. He was literally voted Player of the Season. He was head and shoulders the best centre half in the league last year. He's the closest thing to Ferdinand I've seen in a long time. Very Van Dijk like, I think. I think he's absolutely brilliant. And I had a lot of praise at Arteta with how he handled actually getting him back into the squad. Because it actually looked like he was going to be an outcast. Marseille were doing everything they could to keep him in the summer to bring him back. So I think they've absolutely fucked themselves here with this, because they'll have to pay him. He would have been the first player who would have been given the contract. Because wherever about Saka, he's a brilliant player, but there's loads of them. Now, not as good, but there's loads of... It's so much easier to put attacking players in a system that works than it is to find a defender like Saliba. Because they're fucking like... They're rare as rock and horseshoe. There's not many of them around. He is literally the best young centre-back in the world at the moment. Putting ahead of all of them coming through. He should be the fucking rock that you're building your house on. Honestly. And I think they've dropped the ball at big time, because he has all the power now. His deal is up next summer. And I guarantee you, as a free agent, you'd be quicker naming the clubs that had no interest in signing him, because he'd be Madrid bound, Barca bound, Man City bound. I'm sure if we fucking bounce back and have another great year, we'd be looking at him. So I really do feel that Arsenal have left themselves in a fucking rotten position now with this one, because it's going to cost a lot more than it would have if they had prioritised his deal in the first place. Because I'd imagine you would have gotten him on another 2 or 3 years for probably 180, 200 grand a week. Now he's going to be looking at Saka going, I want parity. They're going to have the same issue with Odegaard. I know they signed up Martinelli. There's going to be other players there who are going to kick up, like Gabriel. Like, fucking, the tide rises all boats. Arsenal are Champions League again. Like, for how long, we don't know. But honestly, I do feel that they dropped a bollock big time. People saying he's not that good. You obviously haven't watched him.
He's brilliant.
Fucking unreal.
He's brilliant.
Unbelievable.
There's mixed stuff. There's mixed stuff in the chat here, right? Brian O'Halloran says, I think Saka may have snookered himself. Unless he goes up another level, the likes of a City and Madrid are not going to give him a 400 grand a week plus. Too much, too soon. Owen feels that if Arsenal sell Saka, they'd have to spend the same amount and give similar wages to replace him anyway. He feels he's worth it. Passio says Arsenal fucked off Saliba for most of the time he's been there. It's only this year he's got game time, so there might be some resentment there. I'd snap Saliba up in a second. Passio, I don't think that's entirely true. I think what happened with Saliba, I think he lost his mother or his father. There was a couple of...
Yeah, both of them. He lost both.
I think he might have lost both. And I think what happened was he couldn't settle in London. And the Arsenal actually looked after him and sent him back. He might have done 2 years in France, actually, to get his whole head around what was going on and then come back to Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal fucked him off. I think they actually done really well looking after him by allowing him to go back and play in France in order to, sort any issues he had. Losing both parents that's major issues at his age. He is a phenomenal centre back. He has everything. He's big, strong, good footballer, range of passing. He has the lot. Keith, have they done this the wrong way? Should they have done Saliba and went, listen, he's the marker, and maybe Odegaard, and then everyone else falls into line? Because when you look at it, I don't know what Saka had left on his contract, but Saliba's sitting there now with 1 year left. Maybe there's something Saka's where they wanted to get it done, because he done Martinelli similarly as well. Where do you stand on this?
I agree, yeah, with everything Seany said there. Seany said it to us, maybe it could have been on a show, it could have been on WhatsApp. Liverpool done it the right way around when they sort of tied everyone up and then left Salah till the end, and that became then the top one, and all the big boys are already tied in, and your new signings then come sort of in a certain level. Arsenal look like, and look, this will only time will only tell with this. You know, you give Saka that big deal, and Arsenal seen it with Aubameyang. That was on more money, maybe Ozil as well. When you give that big wage out, they have to be performing. Now, I think Saka will perform. I think his personality and his what you see as his personality, it looks like he has a good head on his shoulders, that he's a worker. But Seany said it there. You can get numbers out there. You know, like I don't know if he's that good that I would sort of burn everything just to get him tied down on that much of a deal. But they've done it now, and they've sort of made their bed with that. And it'll be interesting. Arsenal for life thinks that that Saliba's going nowhere, that he'll be tied up. Time will tell, because if I'm him, while I think Saliba's one of the best young centre backs in the world, he's going to want to be paid. Not like one of the best young centre backs in the world, like one of the best players in Arsenal. And Arsenal have now set a fucking precedent where, well, Saka's the golden boy, the star boy as they call him. Well, he's on that. I want that. If I'm not getting that, I want a little bit less than that, but I'm not taking this. And I think they've sort of opened themselves up now to being hamstrung with what they can do there, unless they know that Saliba is willing to take a lesser deal. You know, unless he is willing to settle in at around, I don't know, 150 a week, which is still big.
I'm not walking around with Saliba on half the money Saka's on. Sorry.
But that's what they've made that bed. Do you know what I mean? But Saliba, someone who said there, Saliba's on what, 40 grand a week or something? Did Emmett say that a minute ago?
Yeah.
40 grand a
Odegaard's
week.
on 115.
I suppose you're looking at Odegaard's come in from Real Madrid. He was a busted flush nearly, you know, when he came in there. He sort of bounced around, had been talked as a wonder kid. Didn't work out for him, bouncing around. He's found his feet there, and he sort of he's finding his form there. But like, Saliba is gonna want top money. He's not gonna undersell himself. I don't care if he loves London now and he's happy there. He's not going to go in for less than Bladen, you know, 200 plus. And Arsenal were always a club that didn't. What's Martinelli on, does anyone know?
Martinelli, I think he went over 100 grand a week.
Because the thing there,
he was on next to nothing.
But they might have tied him down. If everyone else starts getting wedged in at over 300k a week, he'll be like, well, if he's performing next season, he's going to be saying, look, I want a new contract. Because Manchester City are bleeding hounding me. Pep Guardiola standing outside my gaff singing songs at me to go and sign for Man City. So you either weigh me in on this, either bleeding sort me out, or I'm gone.
They're only had to get rid of Ozil and Aubameyang, and they were fucking burning holes in the Arsenal pay a lot of wages. Like, look, people in the chat saying, I'm not saying Saka is not a brilliant player. What I'm saying is, it's far easier to find. It's far easier to find attacking players to affect games in that way, to find someone you can build a whole fucking defence around. That's how highly I rate Saliba. And the
180,000. Martinelli.
Say that's big money for Martinelli even. Like, look, we give Mo that money and it's his last big contract, and that'll be he'll be gone at the end of that. Unless he decides to stay, but it'll be on less money, no matter what you do. But I think you may have went a little bit fucking high on with the Saka one, because the thing is as well, he's from Hale End, and you need to lend into that as well a little bit.
Yeah.
You need to be saying to him, look, we fucking brought you through the academy. Like Trent's next deal is going to be big, but it won't be Saka money. And that's not because he doesn't deserve it. It's just because he'll know himself. Like, Gerrard was never on. Gerrard could have earned way more money paying for everyone else rather than Liverpool. And I think Arsenal should have lent into that a little bit. If I'm being honest with you, I think they will find a compromise with Saliba and he will sign a deal. I do think he will, because they can't afford not to get him tied down, because he's that good. But it's like with Royce and possibly the likes of Caicedo and Royce coming in, they're not going to be playing on buttons either. And as well, their agents are going to be going, well, what's the story here? Like, they're not going to come in on buttons. So I think Arsenal may have gone a little bit early, I feel, with that one.
It was just an interesting one, the way it was done. But anyway, let's move on. Let's go back to Liverpool. We've about 20 minutes left. Let's start with Kefren Thuram. Now, he's being linked. Manu Kone is being linked. All right. Now, if Liverpool were to do these three midfielders, I'm not going to pretend I've seen loads of these players. Right. I've literally gone and watched every year. I don't watch Nice, isn't it, and Borussia Mönchengladbach. Like, I'm not watching them. Right. Let's be honest. But I've gone and watched a bit of them. Like, and they both look great. Right. Sign them up. But you know, I've seen a few people going, look, really, really good talents. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, when they go in, are they going to affect us enough to improve us enough off the back of last season? But that's the show that the manager will have to make. But Kefren Thuram, Keith, let me talk to you about Kefren Thuram. French, 22 years of age, I think he is. We were talking about him before he came on. 25 goals in League One 25 games in League One last season. Jesus, if he's scoring 25 midfield, like, I want them. 2 goals, 4 assists. You know, 3 yellow cards, stuff like that. You know, they're good. They're good stats. They're okay stats. But just a lot of potential. And like anyone, when I've watched these kind of breakdowns of him on YouTube and stuff like that, he does look impressive. Anyone I'm kind of watching and talking about him seem to just think he's ready to just explode. Coming out of Nice. Where are you on this one? Because it's not one you would have expected going into the summer, I think it's fair to say.
It's one that was linked. I mean, we spoke about the two of these players a while ago.
We did.
About the links that were there with them, and they're long-standing links. Kone especially more so than Thuram. But Thuram is you know, the profile of player he is. It's the ones that make you horny again. It's the player that's on the cusp of smashing onto that world stage. You know, we know France, right? The talent pool there in France is absolutely off the charts. And this fella looks like he's ready to go in there and try and stamp his authority on it. You're looking at a lad that's about 6'4", like big unit, but gets around and runs around the pitch. He plays a defensive midfield, but he can play on the left side of a tree as well. I remember listening to a show a while ago and they were saying that, you know, he's not just a big, you know, he's not just can play a 6 and that's it. He can play, you know, if you had someone else doing that, he can play to the left of him. He can do a job for you sort of in a couple of areas there. But he's got energy and he's got something that we haven't had in the team. You know, we haven't had physicality and we haven't had energy in a long time. And Kefren Thuram brings both of that, and he brings height. And if you look at Liverpool now, especially at the back end of last season, it was noticeable that Gakpo at 6'4" was making a huge difference to Liverpool. Not just on the attacking sense, but I seen a stat there the other day. Liverpool didn't concede a goal from a set piece or a corner or something like that this season in the Premier League or something like that. And, you know, big lads make a difference on the attacking end and on the defensive end. So, to me, he's a player. TLLFC is saying he's an 8 that can play 6. I see him as a 6 who can play 8, personally. But look, I'm not an expert. I've seen bits of him, but nothing major. I've seen more of Kone than I have Thuram, if I'm being totally honest. I don't watch a lot of Nice. But, yeah, he's one that excites me. And you're looking at, I don't know what's the rumoured price on this one. It's about 50.
No, I think he might. I think one of them is rumoured at around.
The talk is Kone is 35 to 30 million. And I think Thuram, they were saying 45 to 50 million.
Yeah, I think I seen 30 million pounds and 42 million pounds for and I think Thuram is the more expensive.
But this is the ideal sort of bracket that we need to be in, because they're not, obviously inflation and all that, you know what I mean? But nowadays a 40-50 million pound player, it's not even like a Naby Keita, and it's not looking to dig out Naby Keita, you know. But I'm saying, like, when we signed Naby at 53 million, it was like, Jesus, big deal. That now players like we spoke about it, about Enzo Fernandez, about Mudryk, about Anthony, you know, all these fucking players, even at City, like Calvin Phillips went for about 50 million and played his first game of the season in the last game or something, you know what I mean? So the price of players, it's hard to sort of to judge, but I always think that Liverpool's sweet spot was 35, 40 million. And I suppose you can put that up now to the 50 million mark. If you're getting players in around that, our track record is quite good. And I think this is the type of player that we need. Do we need Kefren Thuram, for example, and Manu Kone to come into Liverpool and start straight away and be brilliant? No. If we get Alexis Mac Allister, do you know what I mean? You can bring these lads in and you're still going to have Fabinho. And while people might not like you, you're still going to have Henderson and you're still going to have Curtis Jones. And you're still going to have Thiago. Do you know what I mean? So these players will all be there. But I like the idea of going in and getting this lad now, especially Thuram. I think Thuram is better, maybe better ball player than Kone. Kone is a bit more rash, but I like the look of this fella and I think he could be ideal because, as I said, he's not a specialist six. He can play two positions. So you're not like you're buying him and he's going to be parked in there. You can bring him in different games, different scenarios, different positions. But if you're putting him into your team and let's say we get the other fella who's over 6 foot as well, Kone, you're looking at height. And if you remember back, obviously we haven't had a tall midfield. Fabinho's tall enough. Henderson's actually taller than you'd expect. But you think back to the Didi Hamans and the Momo Sissokos and all that. We were a big team back then. And maybe Liverpool are looking to just add physicality and height into the midfield. And I just think this fella will be I just think he'd be a great addition if we can get him in the door. Because again, what you see currently may not be what Jurgen Klopp says. And you could see something totally different. He may never play in the 6 for Liverpool. He may never play in the 8 for Liverpool. You just have to wait and see. But he's the type of player that I'd love to see coming in the door. And while you're not going, again, we'll hark back to Jude Bellingham. You're not getting to Jude Bellingham, which we all thought we were all heartbroken about that. I'd rather see us doing this than spending, let's say, 65, 70 million on Mason Mount. I'd much rather see us
that would be ridiculous.
this type of player, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm if these go through, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. A couple of things on him. Chris Brack says we are linked with Thuram when he was leaving Monaco. Passio says he wanted him last year. Thuram would be a very good signing. Don't think he's missed a game or injury yet either. Jono says if we don't get Thuram, we will look on regret the way we looked at Camavinga. This guy is that kind of player. I think he's more talented than Camavinga. Wow. Sam Tandy says if we don't sign Thuram. The boys aren't sure. Sam Tandy says if we don't sign Thuram, he will end up being one of those we could have signed him once, as we will end up being world class. Now, we're not saying for a second that Liverpool are signing both Kefren Thuram and Manu Kone. They're two players that are being linked, and the reason you're probably pushing them all in there together is the vast majority of people are to believe Liverpool need 3 midfielders. If Mac Allister is 1 and these 2, that makes 3. There's some maths for you. But if one of them only comes in, you're probably looking at another one coming in. And I was worried about the homegrown stuff. Seany was making the point that, look, they don't even have to be registered at the age they're at. I'm not too sure about Kefren Thuram because he's 22. But
what? He's 22, maybe.
Yeah,
he will.
so
Kone won't go.
Yeah, so you probably need to do something there. But look, Seany, before we go on to Manu Kone, oh, sorry, by the way, if you're here, and there's loads of you here, by the way, hit the like button. It takes a second. Subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, do so. It's going to be a really fun summer doing this and all the other stuff that we do during the summer. And hit the bell icon, and as soon as we're going live, you'll know about it. Seany, Kefren Thuram, would he be your first choice over Manu Kone? That's me opening gambit.
Yeah. But he would. Only because I've not seen much of Kone, to be honest with you. I'm going to be completely frank with you, Gav. Just tell you the truth. The only reason I kept an eye on Thuram is because last year in FIFA, he got a special card. It was fucking unbelievable.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, I must have a look at this young player. So whenever I was dabbling around doing fuck all and the French league was on or they were playing in Europe, I'd have a look and fuck me. I was thinking, right, this kid looks to have it all. He's a freak of a player where he shouldn't move like that at 6'4". But get away from the names. The big thing for me with these two that being profiled is the attributes they have and the type of players they are. And I was thinking to myself, why are Liverpool looking at the likes of Mount and your man Neuhaus and players who aren't, I'm thinking, right, fucking hell, this is exactly the type of, we need physicality. That's what Seany, Fabinho and Hendo were physical. They ran all over teams. They went, all right, not the most technical, not Xavi or Iniestas of this world, but they ran all over teams. They suffocated you. They were all able to carry the ball in their own way. They were good enough with the ball where they provided the attacking trait. And that's exactly what these two lads can do. Now, I've not seen much of Kone. I couldn't turn around and say he's fucking brilliant, but he's highly touted. Much like Thuram, highly touted. Now, is it a case if it's one or the other? I'm thinking, right, get one of them and then you can probably really look at another sort of midfielder. But if you're getting both of them, I think, again, like what I said earlier, they complement the players you already have there. And you wouldn't, like, I think if you have a midfield, right, say you have a midfield 8 next year of Hendo, Fabinho, Thiago, Mac Allister, Curtis Jones, Thuram, Kone. I think there's plenty of combinations there where you can negate a season where you're playing football and not Champions League football. And it's a perfect time to blood these lads in, because I think there's more than enough combinations to be made there. Look, don't be put off the fact I said Hendo and Thiago. You need to think they will be more effective as squad players who are used sparingly next year.
Yeah,
if we do the required business. All right, and that's just fact. If they use less, they're going to be better. They're going to be better for us when they are able to play, and that's just that, because they'll have more in their legs and they just won't be relied upon. We've relied upon Hendo way too much. We relied upon Thiago way too much, and they kept breaking down. But if they can be used sparingly, they're perfect squad players for the time being. And I just think with Europa League next year, gives Klopp the opportunity to kind of mismatch a little bit, and he'll use that as a platform to be blooding these type of players in. So it makes complete sense for me. I'm just delighted with the type of player we're being linked to. I think that's exactly what we need. We need physicality, we need metal, and we need steel in the middle. I'm not worried about midfielders having to score loads of fucking goals, because we won everything with a functional midfield. And I think that's what we need to get back to. And if you've Trent playing in that role as well, don't forget that. He's going to be a chief creator from that position as well. So I think it makes fucking perfect sense. Wherever which one we get, there's more talk on the Kone one. We don't know how close it is.
They feel like
this could be a case. This could be a case where fucking Bogarhead is pissing on your chips this time tomorrow, saying that none of them are realistically linked.
Yeah.
Or this could be a case where the fucking the three of them are wrapped up within fucking 4 or 5 days of each other. So I'm really, really, really excited by the pro. Again, for me, it's the profile and the type of players that they are, and I think they're exactly the type of players that Liverpool need. A lot of physicality with enough quality, and what they'll do is they'll allow Jurgen Klopp to do what he does best, and that's coach and nurture players like them, and take them from being really good prospects to fucking world beaters. And I think that's what he does perfectly.
It's
we can kind of this is kind of the next raft of them being brought in, and I'm all for it. Honestly, I really am. I'm a big fan of these. And sorry, I seen Tori in the chat. Stefan Bajcetic, like, again, it lends more into the point that there's gonna be plenty of football to go around next year where these lads will not be relied upon. And again, I said it as well. If Klopp is okay in these type of signings, is there even a possibility where Klopp is going, right, I might do an extra year I do, because that's the whole idea. We're starting again from a position where we'll challenge in a year or two down the line. Maybe next year it's get back. People won't like hearing this, but he's restarting. He's literally going again with these type of signings, and I'm fucking. excites me. Genuinely, it does. It excites me.
I think, like, when you look at these two players, Kone and Kefren Thuram, they scored 3 goals between them last season. They have about 6 or 7 assists between them. So they're not goal scorer midfielders. And when people look at midfielders, they think that. But Mac Allister is a goal scorer midfielder. You know, he's 10 goals in the league for Brighton last season. You know, that's a decent return for a centre midfielder. And I know we are saying, like, people don't want to hear this, like, they come in and they find their feet, but I think there's a bit of forward planning in it as well, because this midfield thing isn't going to solve itself in the next 3 months. This thing it's going to have to be solved, if not in January. We're going to be back. We're going to be doing this thing in 12 months, because Henderson, Thiago, Fabinho in particular are all a year older and another season in the legs. So maybe this is a bit of, look, these two will come in with Mac Allister, and the next year we might have to do the same, but we might have to bring in 2 Mac Allisters, 2 Mac Allister types and one of a Thuram / Kone type. We're just doing it this way around this time. People talk about Liverpool, and the goal scoring thing is a big thing. But when Liverpool were at their best, their midfielders didn't score an awful lot of goals. But what they done was, they didn't give the opposition a fucking minute. They didn't. They allowed fullbacks and etc. to do what they wanted, which in turn gave our strikers a huge amount of option to do things. And going back just to Darwin Núñez, you mentioned earlier, I think Darwin Núñez suffered in this season because he was put out left to do a job, and when he was put up front, teams were just camping and saying, here, do you know what, we just win it against you because we know if we win the ball, we're going to hurt you. Whereas I think teams will have to be a little bit more trying to be in Liverpool's face if Liverpool turn up physically. And I think Darwin Núñez will benefit off the back of that. So there's so many knock-ons involved in what you're trying to do with different signings and the way you want to play and stuff like that. The goals I'm not too worried about. Now, you will get people going, but this team scores goals. Listen, nobody could live with Liverpool when they decided to play like that. Like, no one could live with them, right? Unless you were cheating at football. And the non-cheating people could not live with Liverpool. So there's no problem going back to what we were great at. Like, we'd love to go back last season and be back to what we were great at, wouldn't we? We don't need to, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. I don't think Klopp will look to reinvent the wheel, but he'll definitely look to bring players in that, can affect it going forward. But overall, Liverpool will not be bullied next season. I would say that's Klopp's main reason. We are not going to be bullied, and we are not going to be fucking outran by anybody next season. And if Liverpool do that, they have the quality from back to front to absolutely hurt you. Keith,
but if you look, before we move off that, if you look at these types of players, right, that can run and run, Johnny touched on Trent in the midfield, and that's not going away. Do you know what I mean? That's only going one direction. Like, Trent isn't going to be shunted back as a right back, and that's it. We tried it. Good luck. So we knew. You said it all the time, Gav. When you watched Henderson in the flesh that you don't see on the camera, the work he done to cover fullbacks, especially Trent, to allow him to play when we were successful, was very unheralded. It's nearly like it's a one-man job for Konate now at the moment to cover for Trent. When he's playing in there, Konate's doing all the covering on that side. If you have a midfielder in there, even one midfielder in there, that can run with power, that'll free Trent up an awful lot as well. But
it's not even that. The thing for me is running with power is fine. But Liverpool's major problem last season was not picking up second balls, not winning. Like Jono says there, it actually hurts me head reading the stat that we were dead last in duels won last season. 47% of our duels we won because we had no legs in midfield. It was legs, but it was actually just snapping into things. Liverpool would run up and down the pitch with you, but if you watch Liverpool at their best, they went into your half and they went, listen, the only way you're getting that ball to within 50 yards of our goal is hitting some optimistic sort of pass, because we're going to be all over you. Teams didn't have to do that. What they done was, they won it, they looked and went, I'm just going to drift past this one fella, and then 3 of my mates will join me, and there'll be 4 of us running on 4, and these are all over the place. And that's where Liverpool need to get to, where we actually turn the game into a game of football in their half. And if it's going into our half, it's because some fella's panicking and launching it, not running down the middle of the fucking pitch. Right? And I know we again with the running with power, but overall it's about snuffing it out at source, whether that's your front three pressing or your midfield winning it. Fabinho used to do it excellently. I don't think Henderson has the legs to do it anymore. That's just me personally, but I think Henderson falls into that Milner role, as they would call it, going into next season. I'm not saying he can play for Liverpool, but the amount of minutes he should play for Liverpool should be reduced and should be around James Milner levels of last season, who still made 30 plus appearances, I think.
Too many games.
What?
Like that. That was too many games.
Yeah, but this is a 32-year-old as opposed to a 37-year-old, so I don't mind 30 appearances when they're in the right kind of context. Keith, Manu Kone, we know fuck all about him. He had a special card. He didn't have a special card, so me and Shawnee are fucking interested. But come here, tell us about him.
He's been linked, on social media for a long time to Liverpool, Manu Kone, and he came from Toulouse and goes to Mönchengladbach. And I remember at the time, people were like, remember when was a Red Bird bought into Liverpool, and your man Jerry Carnival, he owns Toulouse, I think, and they're like, why are we not getting him from there? Why are we missing out on this? And he's a player that I've kept an eye on. Now, people in the chat will correct me on this. I've seen a bit of him. I've seen more of him than I have seen of Thuram, and he reminds me of Naby Keita in the sense that
Jesus, stop the stream.
He's a good ball carrier. Do you know what I mean? Naby Keita.
Fuck off, Keith, will you?
Naby Keita was excellent.
You're annoying me now.
The press.
I don't even want them now.
The press that Keita used to do when he was good, when Keita was.
Stop saying his fucking name.
When number 8 was good, fitting for
the number 8 fella,
and he was doing good for us.
That's even worse. That's
blasphemy on the number 8. That one. Certain midfield players at Liverpool, he reminds me of them when it's he's a good ball carrier, but he's very, very rash and he's very, very raw. And we were talking beforehand, Gav, about the yellow cards.
12 bookings.
Yeah, a lot of bookings. He's a good player. He's a project, I think, more. So I think Thuram would be a more ready to go player.
Keith is doing everything he can now not to reference Naby Keita, and his head is fried. Look at him.
I don't even know what to say. I'm like, geez, I better not talk about him.
He made 30 appearances in the Bundesliga last season, 1 goal, 1 assist, 12 bookings though. But he's 20. He's 22. But again, 22 means he would have to be registered. So it'll be interesting. There's going to have to be a homegrown something going on here. Shawnee hates all the panel, says Antwango. Yeah, join my. He fucking despises me. He hates Keith now as well. Sorry, go on, Keith. Tell us about Manu Kone. Do you want to start again?
I like him. No, I like him. I think he's a good player, but he is a bit more. He's a bit more rash. He reminds me of someone, and not that one. Different fella. Who was it that kept getting? Thiago, right? Thiago, remember he kept getting bookings and all that.
Like 5 minutes into every game. Yeah,
exactly. And even by Cetic as well, when he came into the team, was hoovering up yellow cards like they were going out of fashion. I think if they bring in a Kone, they have to work on that. Just the timing of the tackles and things like that, because he could be a fucking yellow card machine at the 4th season. Do you know what I mean? And that's the worry that the only worry. It's not even a worry, because I think you get that out of him, but I think Thuram is probably more ready to rock than Kone would be. But if we got one or the other and we got Kone, it's a fucking great bit of business, because anyone who watches Bundesliga and watched any Mönchengladbach games, someone's saying there, G10 Kone outplayed Bellingham last October. He's played brilliant in any of the big games I've seen. He's going up against these lads and he's absolutely fucking excellent. You don't watch him all the time. Can he do it on a wet night in Stoke? I'd imagine he can. Haven't seen proof of that, but I'd imagine he can. He seems ready, again, like Thuram, he's ready for that next step. He's ready to take that leap. And again, I just come back to the profile of player. This is the profile of player we should be all over. He's a young kid. He's gone in. He's doing well in a top league. People might think the Bundesliga is shy, but it is one of the top 5 leagues. He's performed well there. And I think he's ready to make that jump again. And I think it would be a great bit of business for Liverpool to get him in. Again, 6'1", 6'2", 6'2", is he 6'1"? Tall enough fella, but physical. Yeah, I'd be all over him, and he's brilliant as well.
Look,
He's no
I'm
Naby
sure.
Keita,
I'm sure when we're doing this show next week, and if Kone and Thuram are still being linked or signed or whatever it might be, Mac Allister, we'll have to have a sit down and have a look around the homegrown thing. I know we're losing. We've lost Oxlade-Chamberlain. We've lost Milner off that. But I think Curtis Jones comes in and replaces one of them as homegrown now. So he can be named in there. And I'm sure Liverpool, like, it's not like Liverpool are just going to turn around and go, oh, we forgot all about that. We don't know if Liverpool are going to sign 1, 2 or 3 of these players. The chances are, if you're a betting man or a non-betting man, Keith, as you like to call yourself, 2 of them is probably more likely than 3. But I'm sure, look, here's some homework for the viewers. We'll probably do this show at some stage next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, maybe. Can someone have the list for homegrown and non-homegrown ready for us when we come back next week? What are you laughing at, Johnny, before we go?
Henrik Havner, what about Speedo, Mickey from the Wolves?
Oh yeah, can we give him a mention? This is the centre back from Wolfsburg, and of course our new sporting director that's taken, I think it's an internship he's fucking taken at Liverpool for 3 months. He's on a J1. Obviously he has his Wolfsburg links and stuff as well. The only concern I see about this centre back is the fact he's 6'4" and can't win a header. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Is he?
He has to be. He has to be sure.
He has to be.
6'4" and can't head a ball.
Yeah, like, he's just mad fast. Get the fuck. Don't be saying ball. Fucking hell.
Yeah. So anyway, he's been. It's just a video of him running really fast. That's the only one I've seen. Haven't seen him do anything else.
Has he been capped for Holland yet?
Haven't a clue.
I don't think so.
Haven't a clue about him. But his name popped.
The only clip I've only seen is the little fast one when he's down. I'm still not convinced that's in normal speed.
I'm going to have a look at the league table here for a minute.
Yeah. But look, he's being linked. But we come on this week to do midfielder because that's where it is at the minute. And we've kind of covered that well, I think.
Yeah.
I think we
7 Dutch under 21 caps.
Yeah, Ali A says we are getting 3. I don't disagree, Ali, that we are getting 3. I just think it mightn't be the 3 we've discussed tonight. Although the lads seem absolutely all right with that. But like we said, if we can get more players that can cover ground and press a bit better and not be bullied, and bullied in the way that they're just being overrun. We'll be absolutely fine because, like I said, we're scoring enough goals. A couple of people in the chat were mentioned there. Still worry about Virgil van Dijk. I'll make a solemn promise to you. Yeah. If Liverpool get midfielders that can function, press, win balls back, Virgil van Dijk will be absolutely fine. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you had at centre back for Liverpool last season.
About your man Van de Ven, by the way. I don't know. I haven't seen. I've only seen that clip of him running real fast. Is he? But it just thinks of a fucking Milan Jovanovic to me, where you look at videos.
But come here, would he?
Would you? Lazar Markovic.
Have you less faith? Have you less faith in him, Seany, than you have in Ndicka me bollocks? Or
I'd actually sign Ndicka ahead of him.
Ndicka me bollocks before
wouldn't
him.
Be a bad signing, eh?
Right.
And the funny thing, Ndicka and Mickey, there's a reference to be made.
There's all sorts going on there.
Loads are thrown in that Hincape show. He will be one now.
Caldwell is that one, but of course Chelsea have torn down a bit of £30 million for Levi Caldwell.
Yeah, he's not big money.
Yeah. Let me see. What else have we got? Gad says have a look at the fastest players in the Bundesliga. He might be up there actually. But look, we've covered loads there. We've gone through Arsenal, we've talked loads, Mason Mount, we've talked Liverpool, we've done loads in an hour and 8 minutes or so that we've been on. The link is in the description for our charity. If you want to donate, you can do in there. If you can't donate, take the link, share it amongst your family, your friends, your colleagues. Our golf day is fast approaching. I put it on social media earlier. We've 4 slots left for sponsorship if anyone wants to take them up. €100 each for you can put your own name on it, you can put your company name on it, you can simply put a message on it, wherever you like. It's €100 each. So lfcdaytrippers@gmail.com if you want to help us fill all of that, with all money going towards breast cancer research. I think that's about it. If you want to donate prizes or donate us money, and we'll buy the prizes for you for the raffle that will go on that day. And LFCDaytrippers@gmail.com. Do that as well. And you know what? Like, honestly, a lot of work goes into the golf day, setting it up, getting it ready. But every sponsorship we get, every prize we get now, no matter how big or small, is huge, because it's another prize we can put on the list for the raffle. And when you know yourself, the more prize you put on, few drinks inside people, they start lashing out. They think they're in a casino, they're throwing money at you, and it makes a massive difference, the raffle on the night, because when people put their hand in their pocket, it brings up the total massively. So that's why we're looking for prizes or money, and we'll buy the prizes or the sponsorship, because it's huge. It's absolutely huge for this. And we're hoping to come out of the back of this golf day €15,000 up on the €20,000 target, and we'll definitely get those 12 women that are running the Dublin Marathon to their target before they do it in October. G10 says, thank lads, great show again. Emma Kavanagh says, great show lads. Sass Cowboy says, great show gentlemen, well done chat as per usual, all opinions shared tonight are 100% fact. Sass Cowboy, of course, is Matt from Canada. He's in the Telegram group, and he's the head of transfer. So every time anyone is linked, he's the one that changes the fucking profile picture on the group to whatever player that might be. So that's what he's head of at the moment. Seany, anything else before we go?
No, all good. Enjoyed that.
Good, I did too.
Yeah, it was a bit of crack.
What a show.
Apart from when fucking Keith started talking about your man.
I'm only messing. Kate is gone now. Just let him be, for fuck's sake.
Keith, anything else before we go?
No, I enjoyed that. Yeah, it was good. Like I said, the transfer stuff pisses me off at the moment. Not just on likes of Twitter, even Sky Sports are blatant clickbait. But when you just sit down and have a chat and go through these lads and what Liverpool need and what they want, that's what I enjoy doing. We don't do this for clicks and no sensational shit on that. You know what I mean? Like, we just come in and have a chat. So I love doing these shows, and I enjoyed that thoroughly today. Brilliant. Good. Well done, lads. What a
game. What day is today? Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday. We'll be back on Sunday with the Fatback 4. Haven't broken to Seany yet what we might be doing on Sunday night. But I will at some stage, because he fucking hates me. So I have to pick my spot when I want to say that to him. We will be back next week as well with more transfer stuff. A quiz or a draft thrown in there. I know Kev and Chris want to look back on the year we won the league. And go through it in blocks and different games, different players, different goals, and keep you going throughout the summer with that as well. So we will bring you as much as we possibly can throughout the summer. If you have any show ideas, let us know through social media, whether it's our own personal ones or the Daytrippers ones, or in the Telegram group, and we try to put them together as well. And wherever we can to keep you going on 4 or 5, whatever shows a week, we promise we will do that throughout the summer. That has been No Transfer Knowledge. That has been the night where Keith has literally taken my place as being despised by Seany for mentioning Naby Keita. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.